seconds.
Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we have a debate between Hoop God and Jim M from Self Research NBA Facts, where they'll be debating who's greater, the 94 Rockets or the 86 Celtics. But first, how are you gentlemen today? How are you doing, Hoop God?
I'm great. I'm great.
Doing
Jim,
good,
how you doing
Dart.
today?
Doing good. Doing good.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. Jim has elected to go first. For the people that haven't been here before, there'll be 5 3-minute rounds. And are you ready, gentlemen, to start?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. There'll be a 10-second primer, and then it'll be your time to start, Jim.
Okay.
Three, two, one.
All right. 1986 Boston Celtics. Some people consider maybe the greatest team of all time. As we know, Larry Bird won the MVP. Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, top 75 players. Bill Walton off the bench, top 75 player, was sixth man of the year. Kevin McHale was second team All NBA, second team All Defense. Dennis Johnson was second team All Defense. Larry Bird, of course, won the MVP, first team All NBA. They pretty much throttled the league. They hold a remarkable record. In the regular season, they were 40-1. Heading into the playoffs, they had won 31 straight home games. And that's why I laugh when people say anything about how Jordan was supposed to beat that team, because nobody could even win a single game. But continuing into the playoffs, the Celtics won all 10 of their home games for an overall record of 50-1 at home.
Oh, no. Jim. Jim. I don't know what's up with his connection. He had this issue before. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, the Boston Celtics, 1986 Boston Garden was the hardest place to play in the history of the NBA. I don't see how there's any disputing that, just based on the record. They were what was it? They were 26-14 on the road, which is a pretty good record in its own right. In the first round, of course, they drew the Bulls. They had Jordan and all that stuff. He did have a record 63 points on him, which was remarkable. But ultimately, it was a clean sweep. And in the next round, they played Atlanta Hawks, 50-32 team, led by scoring champion Dominique Wilkins of 86. They beat them in 5 games. And then they played the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the 2 seed. They were 57-25. They swept them. They played the Houston Rockets in the finals. Houston, of course, upset the Lakers. I would have really loved to seen that 86, because Boston had beat the Lakers in 84. Lakers beat Boston in 85. So kind of like a tiebreaker, but it just didn't happen. Houston gentlemen sweep the Lakers, which was, just shocking back then. I don't know if all you guys remember that, but I do. As a young kid, I remember it. It was definitely shocking. Okay.
So first and foremost, I want to just agree with Jim. Yeah, that 86 Celtics team, I have that same dilemma when I tell people, they only lost 1 game in the regular season. I mean, just let that sit in, for comparison's sake. Like, that is extremely difficult to do. And no, you're not going to go there and beat them. Now, I want to give credit to the 94 Houston Rockets, which I feel is one of the most underrated teams. And I'm not saying it to you, Jim. I'm saying it in general. I know a lot of people try to underrate them because they don't have the name value per se, but I think that's essentially what makes it great because no, they didn't have a collection of all-stars. They didn't have a collection of Hall of Famers. They only had one. And that one Hall of Famer being Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, won the MVP, won the Defensive Player of the Year, first team all-defense, first team all-NBA, of course, winning the championship finals MVP. And that team, they were not great on offense. They were like a pseudo version, I would say a modern day version of Bill Russell Celtics. What do I mean by that is they were second in defense. Run. They weren't even a top 10 offense. Hakeem also that year, I think he was third in points per game. So he was essentially the offense and the defense. He anchored the defense. He was the best player on defense. And then you also have to consider that psychologically, you know, with him being the anchor back there, that allows your teammates to do what? Play more aggressive on the perimeter, you know, guarding from 30, 35 feet on out. You know, Hakeem did not have the luxury of having a second option like a Kevin McHale or a Dennis Johnson, like third option that can ultimately take the pressure off of him when it comes to scoring, offensive responsibility, and getting guys involved. Now, what I will say is when you look at how that team was constructed and how they ultimately found their success, they play. If any of you guys remember the not Houston Rockets, I'm sorry, the 2009 Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard, they played a similar version of inside out, which we're going to start with Hakeem. If you get doubled or you get tripled, you kick the ball out to those perimeter shooters. The only difference was Hakeem was so skilled that even against double teams, he could still convert and score, okay? Not only that, but he had the face-up game for a center that can cross you up. So, yes, he caused a lot of problems for the opponent because they had nobody who could match his skill set. So, ultimately, he was the X factor that gave his team the advantage. Now, I will say when they would play other teams that could kind of key in on what they were doing, yeah, they did face a little bit of adversity. However, they hung their hat on defense because they led the league in blocks that year. But, again, they were not a top 10 team when it comes to points per game. So, you have to find your identity. And that's why I like the 94 Houston Rockets, seeing that they had, I want to say, the 10th supporting cast in points per game, the 10th lowest that year as well. And then their SRS rating was
Jim. Let's see if he comes back. All right. Jim, you're on the
All
clock.
right. Yeah. I don't know why it keeps knocking me out, but that's okay. Let's just roll with it. So, yeah, Boston Celtics in 86, I mean, they dominated the season about as good as anybody ever has. Their four playoff opponents, they were good, but if you combine their career accolades, what these teams did, they beat 6 MVPs, 5 Defensive Players of the Year, 22 first-team all-defensive players, 11 scoring titles, 2 rebound titles, 3 steals titles, and 5 block titles. That was combined what the 4 teams that they played, the accolades that they had. The Defensive Players of the Year was Sidney Moncrief, was a 2-time winner, Michael Jordan a 1-time winner, and Hakeem Olajuwon a 2-time winner. Of course, Jordan won the 5 MVPs. Hakeem won 1, Jordan won 10 scoring titles, Dominique won 1, and they essentially just steamrolled everybody. The 94 Rockets, they actually started the season at won their first 15 games, which that was, that's impressive. Boston in 86, they had a 13-game and a 15-game winning streak, which I think by most people would feel is pretty strong. Now, their team.
Jim has terrible internet, apparently.
The Boston's front court, many consider to be the greatest front court ever, with Parrish, McHale, and Bird, all 3 being top 75 players. And McHale was just really entering into his prime years when he was making all defense and all NBA teams. Actually, the next year in '87, he was first team all NBA. I just think they were just too much to deal with anybody. With Dennis Johnson and Danny Ainge, they were a pretty deep team. Bill Walton won 6th Man of the Year. I mean, they won about everything you could possibly win, along with the record of 50-1. The 94 Rockets, I mean, I hate bringing it up, but yeah, they did avoid the Bulls. With Michael Jordan, he retired. I know you have to play who's in front of you and how it's constructed. But the other thing, too, is the Rockets dodged the 1 seed Seattle Supersonics, who got upset by Denver Nuggets. I'll never forget that one, who was the 8 seed. That was pretty shocking. They never actually, played the number 1 seed to see, who was the best team out west. But, nonetheless, they went there and they won it. They won 2 game 7s, which is hard to do. But like I said, Boston steamrolled everybody. There was no game 7s for them.
2, 1.
Oh yeah, and those are some great points. Yes, the Rockets did jump out to a 15-game win streak, which at that time was remarkable. I think it hadn't been done since I want to say like the '63 Knicks, and then ultimately they posted 58-24 record, which was a franchise best at that time as well. But I wanted to mention about the Chicago Bulls because I know, and it's not to you, Jim, I know a lot of people will bring that up as well. Now, I'll say I don't necessarily believe they ducked the Bulls because if you go from 89-90 all the way to 92-93, well, the Rockets were 6-2 versus them because, you only played the Eastern Conference teams twice. So that's telling me that they did a significantly great job against the Bulls. Yes, I know the playoffs is a whole different ball game. However, when they met them in the regular season games, from what I've researched, all of those games had a playoff atmosphere and a playoff feel to it, which again lends credence to Hakeem Olajuwon, how dominant he is because he could cause mismatches for his opposition. Because if I'm looking at the Chicago Bulls before Dennis Rodman, I don't see anybody that could deal with him down there. Now, I'm not saying that he would just beat them single-handedly. No, not saying that. What I'm saying is with Hakeem Olajuwon's presence there, now you have to figure out a countermeasure to what they're doing because no, the Rockets don't have anybody that can guard Michael Jordan. I really feel like they would have double-teamed him and made the other players step up. However, with Hakeem having that mismatch in the front court, I mean, to me, it's a toss-up. But right now, the Bulls are, I mean, not the Bulls, but the Rockets were 6-2 versus them. So I would ultimately have to give them the edge. Now, with the 86 Celtics, yes, the players they did go against in their playoff run it's significant. However, I just want to throw some other names out there that Hakeem went through a total of 9 All-Stars, which included Clyde Drexler, wait, just a second. Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, my bad. Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, John Stockton, Karl Malone, which 2 MVPs, and then a New York Knicks team that featured 3 All-Stars, which were Charles Oakley, John Starks, and of course Patrick Ewing. Now, Hakeem's matchup against Patrick Ewing, another thing that sets him apart from the field, he held Patrick Ewing, a center, to 36% shooting from the field. Okay, I don't know anybody on that 86 Celtics team is going to hold their center to 36% shooting because even when they faced Hakeem when he was a young pup, I mean, he was giving them all they could handle. I mean, granted, that 86 team was great. They didn't beat him, but for him to get 2 games in a 6-game series, to me as a sophomore, that's kind of remarkable. But I'm saying that to say with Hakeem having to initiate the offense, still put up big numbers, in that playoff run, he led them in all 5 major categories, okay? That was him displaying his greatness as an individual. However, carrying that load on offense and defense, I mean, we never seen that. I mean, not even Bill Russell could do that.
Yeah, there's no doubt Olajuwon is a lot to handle. I mean, he's firmly in the top 10 all-time for me. In that 86 series, they did have issues with Olajuwon, but they also had Ralph Sampson, which was like a Twin Towers situation, so they kind of had to spread McHale and Parrish out. Without Sampson in there, I think it gets a little easier. I think that the difference would be Larry Bird. I just think there's no answer for Bird. I think that he would just stick it to Houston. Outside, inside, great rebounder. I just don't really think they have an answer, and they can't really double Bird. Olajuwon could cover maybe one of Parrish or McHale straight up, no doubt about it. But neither one. I don't think Otis Thorpe could handle McHale in the post, which would cause a problem if they had to bring anybody to double. If they just played straight up, I like my chances with Johnson and Ainge against Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell. That's at least a wash, if not Boston get the edge there. But Bird, it's just, I mean, Robert Horry is the guy that would be guarding him. I mean, that would be the real problem. And that was the problem for anybody in 86, including the Lakers, who, you know, they were the second best team in the league. I think they were 63-19. They swept the Lakers in the season series, beat them both times they played them. And also the 2-seed Milwaukee. This isn't a situation where Milwaukee played them tough in the regular season. No, they beat them all 5 times in the regular season and all 4 in the Eastern Conference Final, 9-0 against Milwaukee. And they were a 57-25 team. Yeah, Boston was definitely legit that year. I mean, I think that 86 Celtics or the 96 Bulls is the best teams of all time. They had it all. They had offense, they had defense, they had shooting, they had good passers, they had a good bench. You know, Bill Walton was the 6th man. They had other guys. I mean, Rick Carlisle was a decent guy coming off the bench. Greg Kite was decent coming off the bench. they were just tough. And then with the near invincibility at home, I just don't know what anybody could do against them. You know, even the 86 Rockets kind of won by, I think the average margin was 11. They did win 2 out of 3 in Houston, but again, in Boston, they're pretty much were unbeatable team. I mean, I've never seen anything like it to this day. Still never seen anything like it.
1.
Yeah, what you mentioned about spreading Kevin McHale out and Robert Parrish, yeah, that definitely was the game plan, and yes, the presence of Ralph Sampson that did help them out a lot. Actually, that's a formula that I've always said. If you want to stop a fast break team like the Lakers, you have to have those twin towers. You know, prime example, Tim Duncan and David Robinson. You know, look at the success that they had with those twin towers. But what I also wanted to mention was in that series, yes, Hakeem was still young and developing. However, I feel like a more mature-minded Hakeem, and I would say a maybe good to great backcourt player, that I believe that would have been enough for them to offset what Larry Bird could do. Not to say that they would have stopped him. No, nobody was going to stop 86 Bird. I mean, for crying out loud, the man went 50, 40, 90 in the playoffs, which a lot of people don't know. But when I'm looking at what Hakeem did in 94, okay, he not only did not have another 20-point per game score, but his second leading scorer, which was Vernon Maxwell, in the finals, shot 37% from the field. Now, that's telling me that Hakeem has no margin for error, okay? Like none. I feel comfortable saying that Larry Bird could have had some bad games because, again, he has Kevin McHale there who can get his own offense and create play make for his team, just like Dennis Johnson, who can get his own shot and can also play make for his teammates as well. And then you have Danny Ainge, who can also spread the floor. Now, what Hakeem had was guys who could knock down those perimeter jump shots at like timely shots, but it ultimately came off of the gravity that he was creating, meaning if he was struggling, then his opponents weren't really worried about closing out because they could focus their attention on him. Now, when he could get them in a rhythm and they could get it going, then ultimately that was the formula for success throughout the playoffs and ultimately the finals. But I also wanted to mention that Hakeem was just as clutch on defense just like he was on offense, because in Game 6, he got that block, which displayed his versatility on John Starks. You know, how many centers can we name today that literally can move laterally, recover, block a shot to save the game? I mean, like, that's all-time great. To me, that's like Larry Bird getting the steal against Isaiah Thomas, you know, Michael Jordan getting the steal against Karl Malone. Like, I have to put that up there because that's a game-saving, game-changing play. You know, and like I said, for him to win the MVP, first team all defense, all NBA first team, third in scoring, finals MVP, winning the championship. I mean, that's essentially a quadruple crown that we haven't seen since then, and not having not one all-star teammate, not one all-NBA teammate. I mean, we'll never see anybody else really just shoulder a load like that and carry a team to success. Now, in comparison to the 86 Celtics, I feel like Bird was the centerpiece of the offense, but they played a more team style on defense. Like, Bird was a great help defender. You know, I would say that head up defender would have been. I don't believe he would have matched that team.
I'm pseudo Jim for now. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took myself off Wi-Fi. I think maybe that was the problem. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, Houston Rockets 94, very underrated team. I think that they may have beaten the Bulls straight up. Who knows what would have happened after what happened with Jordan? His heart may not have been in it. We don't know for sure, and I do know that they would not have went out and had the money to get Steve Kerr and Bill Wennington. Kukoc, I think he was coming over anyway. But they would Luke Longley. They wouldn't have been as deep as they were in '94. I don't think so. And Jordan was kind of running on fumes anyway. But we'll never know for sure. But I think it would have been a really close series, assuming they got there. But Houston had their hands full with the Knicks. Yes, they won in 7, but the Knicks actually outscored them in the finals by five points if you add up all their scores. And Olajuwon made that great play in Game 6 to block Starks for the game-winning 3. Then in Game 7, of course, Houston won. But Jesus. Sorry, you guys. I don't know why this keeps happening.
Are you good?
But I don't think that Houston would have had the firepower to handle Boston. They certainly wouldn't be able to go into Boston and win even one game, most likely. But hey, 94 Rockets, underrated team, no doubt about it. But Boston is maybe the greatest team of all time. I've heard a lot of people say that. And again, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, they were in their primes. This is prime years for these guys. Robert Parrish as well, Danny Ainge. These are all prime guys right here. And like I said, they just ran roughshod through the whole East in the regular season and in the playoffs. I mean, Atlanta was no scrub team. They were a 50-win team. They had the scoring champion. Tree Rollins was blocks leader. All defense. Doc Rivers, Kevin Willis. They had a pretty solid team, and they beat them rather easily. I think every game was double digits with the games that Boston won. And like I said, Milwaukee, who had Paul Pressey, who was 2-time first team.
Wait, is it on me?
No.
3,
Well, now it is.
1.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, the Knicks did outscore them, and I've been on record of saying this. The Knicks, they were a more talented team. However, the Rockets, they had a higher team IQ, which subsequently led to them defeating them in that 7-game series. But they also had another 7-game series against Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson, in which that team had firepower too. Just for comparison, that team outscored the 93 Chicago Bulls, not in per game points, but in total points. They scored a total of 641 points. The 93 Bulls scored a total of 640 points. So that's why I feel comfortable saying I believe that those Houston Rockets team would have gave the 86 Celtics a run for their money. Not saying they would have won or anything, but I think they would have put up a substantial enough fight that, we don't know, maybe one mistake here, one turnover here, one mental breakdown here, it may roll in their favor. But I also wanted to mention with the 94 Houston Rockets, yes, they were not a high-powered offensive team because, again, they were like middle of the pack. They were like top 15 in scoring. How they beat you was suffocating defense, causing havoc on defense. I mean, what's the moniker? Defense wins championships. That's why I said they remind me of a modernized version of the 60s Celtics. Like Bill Russell, that's Hakeem Olajuwon, except he's like 3 times more talented on the offensive side. But he can also create plays on the defensive side with a block shot, keeping the ball in bounds. Teammate gets it, get out in transition, get the momentum up. Just little things like that. But then you think about a guy like Hakeem who can play out on the perimeter, pick and roll. He can hedge over 1001, 1002, 1003, get back on his man. I mean, I don't think any other team in history has had a center that versatile. They can hedge over, help the team, then get back on the defensive side and still continue to pick up on his defensive assignment. And then we have to mention that going against those Knicks, nobody considered the Houston Rockets like a championship contender. I mean, they didn't have the home court advantage. They were always saying, choke city, blah, blah, blah. I think that was their, 3rd time in the finals? The Knicks had went 7 times. So, of course, going into the finals, the Knicks had they were the betting favorite. However, Houston just, we're coming out here. Hey, listen, this our time. We winning this thing right now. It's easy to say looking back on it now because it's hindsight. But again, going into that series, like there weren't a lot of people giving Houston a chance to win, like a puncher's chance, if I want to use a boxing reference. But yes, the 86 Celtics, no, they went against those Atlanta Hawks, which was a great team. I don't think people realize to the magnitude of, who they were going against. Because, the Milwaukee Bucks also, I want to say they had Sidney Moncrief and Alvin Robinson. Yeah, two depoys, which is remarkable. And then taking down Michael Jordan. But for Hakeem to go against that squad in the West, I mean, you're going against monsters out there. That's why I'm looking at that run he had. It was impressive.
Yeah, Milwaukee that year had Paul Pressey and Sidney Moncrief, all defensive specialists. Terry Cummings, an all-NBA player. They were a good team, really good team. Had Craig Hodges, Alton Lister. Definitely a good team. I just think that, like I said, Houston, they had a tough series with the Knicks. The Knicks were a decent team, but far from great. And Boston is a team that won 18 of their final 20 games in the regular season. Playoffs, they went 33 in 5 games. So I think that most people would agree that that's pretty strong. But, again, I don't want to take anything away from Houston and Hakeem Olajuwon. I think he was a great player. But the perimeter players, they had Boston had the guys to shut down their three. And, all right. So Boston would have been able to neutralize any three-point shooting that they had. They could even afford to double Olajuwon if necessary because they had the long arm McHale to help Parrish if necessary. Larry Bird is the one guy nobody would be able to stop. He was the best player in the league in 86, and without Jordan in there, he would have been the best player in the league in 94 as well. Probably him or Olajuwon would be probably the top two. But between the depth and the length of Boston, the experience, the home court advantage, I just really don't see any way that the 94 Rockets would have any hopes of beating that 86 Celtics team. And that's no knock against them because I think almost anybody would lose to that team. Even the 96 Bulls, I think if they didn't have home court advantage, I would pick the 86 Celtics. It would come down to that. The reason why I've always picked the 96 Bulls ahead of them is because they had a better record. And my thinking is if there was some sort of a head-to-head thing, that the Bulls. Anyway, my thinking would be that the Bulls would have had the home court advantage in a series like that, and that would be the difference because they also were a great home team. But again, Boston to me is either the best or the second best team of all time, the best home team of all time. I just don't see any way the 94 Rockets would be able to beat Boston. They had problems with Phoenix and the Knicks, but they got hot at the right time. But I just don't think they could beat the Celtics.
Indeed, those were some fantastic points. But I also want to keep in mind that 94 run the Houston Rockets led by Hakeem is the only player to lead in all 5 major categories, being the GOAT defender, just in my perspective, because no other player has been the best scorer, best rebounder, best passer, best stealer, best shot blocker, all-around defensive anchor. The only other team I feel came close to that was the 97 Bulls featuring Michael Jordan. Now, how I'm looking at this, you have one well-rounded team, which is the 86 Celtics, versus a 94 Houston Rockets team that will ultimately care about one player. So I see the comparisons, but I also see the differences. Now, when I get to Hakeem's defensive prowess, shutting down Patrick Ewing in all but one game, and also holding Karl Malone to 43% shooting in the 94 Western Conference Finals, is remarkable. His interior presence, his defense also limited Barkley, forced Kevin Johnson to take over as the best player for the Suns, but ultimately he was the second option, which he wasn't accustomed to playing in that role, which negated the Phoenix Suns' ability to attack in that 7-game series, because again, basketball is a game of runs, but ultimately it comes down to that fourth quarter execution, in which the Houston Rockets, led by Hakeem, were just able to out execute them on both offense and defense. But another thing I want to add to that 94 playoff run is that they didn't have a Hall of Fame coach neither, let alone not having another Hall of Fame teammate to join Hakeem. Okay. Every other player has had that. They either had a Hall of Fame additional teammate, or Hall of Fame coach. They've had some type of assistance there, which Hakeem did not have. And then again, the man had to be incredibly clutch. Like he was not afforded a bad game here or to struggle here. Like, no, they literally had to have his best in the first, second, third round, and then in the finals as well. I mean, you having a sub 60 point per game supporting cast. I mean, we haven't seen that since 1954. But again, I feel like it's an apples to oranges because the 86 Celtics, like you said, they were well-rounded. They had the perimeter backcourt guys that could defend. They also had the guys at the front court, but I just believe Hakeem would have been the X factor there. But yeah, the 86 Celtics would have had the advantage in the backcourt, seeing that they had the guys that could close out, but also could create their own shots at a consistent rate. Outside of that, I'm arguing for the 94 Rockets with Hakeem, seeing that he was leading everything individually. But of course, when it comes down to the team aspect, I mean, like the 86 Celtics, they're phenomenal. Like I can't find too many objective things to say, trying to be devil's advocate, because, I mean, when you go out and win, I mean, you can't really criticize a team.
3, 2, 1.
All righty. Yeah, I thought it was a great debate. I know Jim had some technical difficulties, but when he was on, I thought he made some great points, as well as Hoop God. And for everyone that's in the chat, I'm going to drop the link if you'd like to call in and give your 2 cents on all of this. But I guess starting with you, Hoop God, how do you think the debate went? How do you think you did?
Oh man, I enjoyed it. Jim stated some additional points about the 86 Celtics that I wasn't aware of. Yeah, I enjoyed it because I always want to gain more knowledge and information that I can apply later, give or take whenever we're having these dialogues. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
How about you, Jim? You there, Jim? Or we lose you again? I don't know, Jim. We can't hear you if you're talking. But yeah, Jim obviously had some technical difficulties. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting debate in total. Just that's usually not argued that much, the 94 Rockets versus the 86 Celtics. So I thought there were some great points made of how both of those teams were great. And yeah, and I guess Jim maybe trying to come back. I don't know what's going on. But it's a shame. I especially being on Wi-Fi. I don't know what could have gave him the technical difficulties. But why do you? Why did you rank the 94 Rockets ahead of the 86 Celtics?
You hear me, Dart?
I can, yeah.
Oh, geez. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to use my wife's phone from now on because it's getting ridiculous. I don't know. Like, no matter what I do, I took it on off the Wi-Fi, back on the Wi-Fi. It just didn't seem to make any difference. When I call in on Sundays, I never have an issue. But for some reason, when I do these debates, it just keeps kicking me out. And I just can't figure out what it is. But I'll figure out something different. I know it's frustrating for probably the listeners too. But like I said, I thought the debate went fine. Hoop God knows his stuff. It was fine that way. It's just the technical difficulties just got me real frustrated.
Yeah, it's a shame. I hope it's an easy fix. Yeah, if you were on Wi-Fi, and I have no idea why it was happening, but I mean, even with that, I thought you made great points when you're in the room. But
yeah.
Hey, Dart, what was that question you were asking about? Why were they ahead of the 86 Celtics?
Yeah, why did you have the 94 Rockets ahead of the 86 Celtics?
So, okay, so two points. Seeing that Hakeem did not have the requisite help that the 86 Celtic had. I'm giving him that advantage because when I look at his position, okay, amongst all the centers, which, well, I'll say the top five, I'll put it that way, featuring Shaq, Bill Russell, Kareem, and Will Chamberlain. Well, he's the only center that was able to win back-to-back titles without a top five or a top 10, I take that back, without a top five point guard. Because I know the second title came with Clyde Drexler. But for him to win that first one, without a top five or a top 10 point guard, shooting guard, to me, that's remarkable. And I'm putting that up there because that's showing me, okay, this guy literally had to do a carry job. Because I really look at it like if I'm gonna say well-rounded team and then guys who had to carry. For example, I would say the guys who had to carry, like Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, 97, Tim Duncan, 03, and then Hakeem in 94. But if I'm looking at well-rounded teams, that's a whole different ballgame. Like I would possibly consider the 86 Celtics better than the 96 Bulls had they not went 72-10, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's like I'm kind of favoring who can take his team individually to the promised land. So that's why I put them up there. But at the same time, I can understand somebody who would value the 86 Celtics as well because what they did is historic.
Yeah,
Jim,
I think the 95 Rockets. No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I think the 95 Rockets are a little underrated. They won some game sevens, but they never had home court advantage because Drexler joined their team late. They were a 6 seed, but you never got a real good gauge of how good a team they were because he wasn't with them the whole year. But, they played phenomenal. They came up big when they needed to, swept Orlando. After I think Nick Anderson missed a couple free throws in game one, they were pretty much mentally finished after that. But I think the 95 Rockets would have been a better test anyway. I'll just put it that way.
Jim, do you think that the 94 Rockets are a top 10 team of all time?
I probably would say no, but I would say top 20. Yes.
Okay.
Do you feel that way?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I don't know where I'd put the 94 Rockets. I'd have the 86 Celtics, I think, are in my top five also. But the 94 Rockets, I don't know where I'd put them. I'd have to think about it.
God, it's killing me. Oh. I don't even have volume now.
Oh, you can't hear us? Oh, I don't know. Jim's
glitched out again.
Technicalities are. You hear us, Jim? Yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think about some of these other debates coming up? We have the FYF versus NMB Sports debate that's going to be going on Friday. And then we have the Alessandro versus Sports and Fitness rants that is to be determined to be scheduled. But I guess with the FYF versus NMB Sports, it'll be the 86 Celtics versus the 17 Warriors. How do you think that one's going to
go? Who's arguing for the 86 Celtics? NMB Sports?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna give NMB the edge because I know he's gonna like get real detailed on that 86 Celtics team. And not only that, but don't get me wrong, the 17 Warriors are nice, but I seen them get taken. They got took to 6 games by a Clippers team who didn't even have their best player. So I think they just get a lot of, I would say, unnecessary hype because of who they win against. And it's, to me, that's like a indirect, like they're trying to indirectly validate the guy that lost, if that makes sense. Because it's like, okay, yeah, Kevin Durant joined this team, but they weren't a super team. The only reason why they're a super team is because Kevin Durant joined them, and then it put them over the top. But I don't understand that because the 86 Celtics, to me, I don't consider them a super team, all-time great team, because they played like beautiful basketball as far as ball movement, defense, creating shots for their teammates, in a sense. So you said that was on Friday?
Yeah, that's on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
I'm gonna tune into that one. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a good one.
Yep. And then Alessandro versus Sports and Fitness Rants will be the 91 Bulls versus the 96 Bulls.
Oh, wow.
Robin will be arguing for the 91 Bulls.
Oh wow, that's interesting. 91 versus 96. So you got young MJ and young Pip going against season MJ and season Pip. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it'll be interesting. The epically bearded Minnesotan Dylan won by another forfeit. YT Hoops is dropping out of the tournament. However, I found somebody actually messaged me, a guy named Ray Petrie,
Yeah.
talking, and I'm going to have him replace YT Hoops, and he'll just have an L on his record. So we got another guy picking up for YT Hoops because things happen, and it's just to keep the ball rolling and more entertainment for the people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dylan got another win by forfeit. So I guess he's the only one that is scaring people out of the tournament. I don't know if it's the beard. I did a post about it. The beard, his takes, are people insecure. I don't know what it is, but two
Who
forfeits.
is he? I mean, like, so what's his stance? Is he an MJ guy or is he the LeBron guy?
No, he's an MJ guy.
Oh, okay.
I think he has LeBron like number 3 or something.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering. Well, I mean, but you say he's an MJ guy, so he already got my respect. I got it. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have LeBron as the GOAT, but I think he still has him pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me like with the, not to digress, but with all this recent news coming out, I'm like, yo, no, this guy got to go lower on my list. I mean, what other player had to create all these shenanigans to like garner attention? Like this, the Celtics and the Mavericks. Why are you still in headlines? Like, I don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, Jim, I wanted to ask, were you aware that Bird is the first player to go 50, 40, 90 in the playoffs?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I stumbled up on that accidentally. Like I was looking for something else, and then I just so happened to see that, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't even know
Yeah.
he did this because
Yeah.
I knew he went 50, 40, 90, 86, 87, and then 88, 87, but I didn't know he done it in the playoffs during that 86 run. And I was just like, oh wow.
Yeah, and they weren't even shooting a lot of threes back then either. Bird just, he was remarkable for how, because he's like 6'10".
Yeah.
A lot of people make a big deal about the taller people today, like Durant and all that. It's like, well, Bird was doing that back in the 80s, and 3-point line he was maybe shooting 2 or 3 a game, and that was a lot.
Well, see, I tell them this all the time. Like, I guess they just don't know context or how to just do proper research. But I'm like, Larry Bird did not grow up with a 3-point line. He did not start shooting the 3-point line until he came to the NBA. And then for him to go 50, 40, 90, 5 years later? I said, now just imagine if he's growing up in the 3-point era from junior high, high school, college, NBA. I mean,
right. Yeah. And there's other players too. I mean, everybody makes such a big deal about Steph Curry. Like, we've never seen it before. Go look at John Stockton, Steve Nash, and Mark Price's stats. Mark Price has damn near a 50, 40, 90 career. I mean, this isn't, isn't just exclusive to Curry. I mean, and Price, Bird, Stockton, or not Stockton, but Nash, those guys have free throw titles. They're, shooting 40% for threes, multiple seasons. I mean, it's been done before. But those guys were also, would have, 8, 9, 10 or more assists per game. And that's something, Curry was more like a scorer in that regard, not so much a facilitator. But yeah, I tell people that all the time. Like, this isn't like he's the only person who ever did this stuff. But the 17 Warriors. But I'm just going to say the 17 Warriors, they benefited from injuries like no team I've ever seen. I mean, you just look at almost every round, there was somebody getting hurt. And the 18 Warriors, the 15 Warriors, the 22 Warriors, I did a video on it. I mean, till I looked into it, Steph Curry's played like 110 playoff games. 94 starters of those 110 games of all the playoff he played was out. That's almost a starter per game on every playoff team he played. I mean, that's just crazy.
Oh damn! I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then at costly times like Chris Paul in the 2018 Western Conference Finals, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard got hurt in the third quarter of game one. They were up by like 27 points or something. But
Up like 25, 26.
yeah, and Tony Parker was out for the whole.
Real fast, I got a super chat from Pierre Lynch for $5. He says, "Hey Dart, how are you, my main man, Hoop God? I'm doing great."
Yo, what up, Pierre?
Yep, thank you for the super chat. The lines are open if you want to call in, Pierre. I've dropped the link a few times. We got a bunch of people in here, but I guess they just want to watch. But links are open if you want to call in. And then it's not giving me the notification that Jim's coming back in here.
I think I'm in, but
Yep,
I
you're in
think
now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Hopefully, I'll never have to go through this again.
Yeah, hopefully you can figure it out. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I've been getting mad over. I don't know if you could hear me. I've been getting mad.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Yeah.
all right.
Welcome.
Well, I'm gonna go. I got a couple things here I got to do. But Hoop God, great debate. Dart, thanks for having us. And I'll see you guys next time.
And indeed, have a good one, Jim.
You too.
Absolutely, Jim. Yep. Have a good night.
What did Pierre lag out?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Jim, are you back or did you accidentally? No, Jim's. Pierre, are you there? I think this is just technical difficulty day.
I'm just glad it's not on my end.
Yeah. It's got to be on their ends because I'm fine, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, we've got Travis here. How are you, T Perfect? Travis, you hear us?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was trying to get my thing here.
Did you see the whole debate? Hello.
I could hear him at first.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what was going on, but no, that was one of the tougher debates to have there.
Oh, you're lagging, Travis. I can't hear you. Can you hear him?
Am I lagging?
Yeah, I can hear.
Oh, I couldn't hear him. I don't know.
Sorry if I'm lagging, guys. It's I have like kind of shitty Wi-Fi.
Oh, no, you're good. So you said it was one of the hardest ones to judge?
Yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, it was a great. I think it was a great debate all around. It's just so tough. Like, if you're arguing which team was greater, because obviously the Celtics they both won championships, but the Celtics I think had a much more stacked roster. But obviously I think Hakeem was probably arguably the best player in either of those teams as far as four lifters go. But Hoop God with a great case, I probably would have voted his way.
Yep. Oh, there's some background noise. It's coming from you. Oh, he dropped out. All right. This has been one big technically difficult thing today. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it. But yeah, Hoop God. Thanks for joining us for this debate. I thought you did well, Pierre. I can't hear you at all if you're talking. But do you have any last words for the people, Hoop God?
No, man. I appreciate you guys joining us on this one. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed having this dialogue with Jim. Picked up on some additional information I can add to my repertoire. And at the end of the day, it's just.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Yep. What's up, Pierre?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Great, great.
Great, great.
Good. What's up, who God? That's my man right there.
What's going on, Pierre?
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm loving life, bro. How about you?
Good. Did Dark tell you I asked about you the other day?
Yeah. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Listen,
I was at my daughter had
who's-
AAU track, so that's why I wasn't able to join in on Sunday.
oh, okay. I'm glad. How's the family? I hope they're doing well.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. How's yours, bro?
Good, good, good. I know Dart's doing well, as long as that chicken is roosting.
Yeah.
As long as I hear them chickens crowing, I know he's doing good. Listen, hey Dart.
Yep.
Who's that idiot talking about my man Curry? Now you guys both know how much I love Steph Curry. I
Who's
heard
talking?
what he was saying about Steph Curry.
Who was talking about Curry? Was it the
The guy that
Sunday
was just
show?
on
Jim.
talking about Curry.
Oh, Jim. Oh.
You know,
Saying that Mike Price.
you play who's in front of you.
Yeah.
Don't start making excuses for people. You play who's in front of you. He kicked ass whoever was in front of him, whoever was on that court that day. Am I right or wrong, who God?
No, you're right about that.
Yeah,
Oh, he was
he
in
kicked
front.
ass whoever was on that court that day. It doesn't matter if the starter wasn't playing, who wasn't playing, or whatever. You know, you don't win championships by default. You know what I mean? You got to play the game in order to win the championship. So, whatever. You can make up all the excuses you want. You know, all the excuses you want.
Did
But
you?
now, I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I just got here.
Oh, okay. I guess you missed the debate. It was the 94 Rockets versus the 86 Celtics. Hoop God was arguing for the 94 Rockets.
Oh, you guys had a debate? You and him?
Yeah.
Who won?
Remains to be seen. It's
Right.
gonna be voted on in the poll. So.
Oh, I see. Right. It gets voted on the poll, and then you move up the chart.
Yep.
How's everything going with it, Dart? I meant to ask you that.
Oh, I mean, it's going pretty much as what I thought it would. Not perfectly, but it's going along. It's could be worse, could be better, but I think
Right.
it's taken the lumps that I expected it to take. People dropping out and saying they're going to do it and then not, and then it's just scheduling stuff. But it hasn't been terrible for what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Dart, that was good that Rex came on the other day. He fooled us all with the name.
Oh yeah, Popcorn Sutton.
Oh, that was funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really good to hear from him though.
Oh yeah.
I wish he would come back. It just adds more balance to everything,
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to do. We were doing a show, just me and him, on Saturdays. I'm gonna try and see if he wants to do that again too. But yeah, no, he's good. He's got good stuff.
Yeah. Did Uncut Hoops come back? I mean, I forgot his name.
Uncommon Sense.
Uncommon Sense.
No, well, he went. He was here a couple weeks ago, but I don't think he was here the last 2 weeks. He's got some personal stuff going on as well. So
Yeah. Because I've been watching his videos. His videos are great.
Yeah.
What is the chance of you getting scalp attack?
I reached out to him a while ago, and then he emailed me back, and then I emailed him about coming on, and then he went quiet. So I don't know if he, I don't know.
Right.
I can re-explore it, but I haven't re-explored it since he didn't answer me back. So
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah. I get
yeah.
Hoop God.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I know you weren't here the other day, and Dart probably didn't mention it, but we talked about Akeem Olajuwon, right? Right, tell him, Dart, right?
Oh,
And
where I got completely mauled by everyone about it.
you sure did. That was funny. Yeah, we talked about Akeem Olajuwon, who got in the top 10. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, because
Like,
a lot of people are putting him in their top 10. I don't have him in my top 10. I got him like I think 12.
yeah.
But a lot of people are putting him in the top 10.
So yeah, he's actually in my top. I mean, he's fifth in my top 10 list. Now, this is my criteria.
Uh-huh.
Number one, you have to at least bring 2 championships to the team that drafted you. I feel like, yeah, everybody can get a one-off, but 2, I feel like 2, you pretty much solidified yourself. Then I have to look at the help that you had with him,
Okay.
and this is my rationale. Amongst the consensus top 5 centers, which features Wilt, Shaq, Bill Russell, and
Right.
I feel like Hakeem he accomplished more with the least amount of help between those guys, right? Because if we go down the list, Bill Russell, all time. Hold on, man, my dog.
Oh shoot.
Okay. So we go down the list. Bill Russell had Bob Cousy, all time great guard.
Right.
Kareem had Magic and Oscar, all time great guards. Shaq had Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, all time great guards. Wilt had Jerry West, and I believe Chet Walker, but Jerry West, that's the more common name, all time great guard. So I'm looking at it like, okay, so if Hakeem can get it done with the least amount of help, then that's showing me that, okay, yeah, it's possible that you don't necessarily have to have that great help in the backcourt to become champion. Then I also have to look at your skill set. And when I'm looking at Hakeem's defensive skill set, I don't think nobody amongst those top 5 centers can match him. Now,
Right.
on the offensive side, if you want to take young Kareem, I could see that argument. Me, I would still take Hakeem, but I could see why people would value the younger Kareem. If you want to go dominance, of course, Shaquille O'Neal, that's not even an argument. I mean, I would never say Hakeem is more dominant than Shaq. That'd just be asinine. And then if you go athleticism, of course, Wilt's the most athletic player of all time. But when I'm looking at that player, I'm looking at how skilled you are on both sides of the floor. So that's my reason I got Hakeem up there. But again, if somebody didn't have him in their top 10, I wouldn't argue it too much, because I know a lot of people like to use the accolades, which it is significant, but everybody got their own criteria.
Right. Now, from what I'm hearing, right, Dart, I don't know if I told you this the other day, from what I'm hearing about Hakeem, right, the pushback is, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because how we all love Jordan, but that's what they're saying, he only won because Jordan wasn't around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're using that to push back against Hakeem being in the top 10.
Yeah.
That's what people are saying, Dart.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to see your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I don't know where I have Hakeem. He's somewhere in my top 20 or top 30. I'd have to really go down the list. Actually, I made the list.
Yeah, you did make the list.
Where did I put him? Let me find.
I forgot where you put him, but I know you made the list. You said something about him. I forgot.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I forgot I made the list where I took some time to do it.
Yeah, you did do it.
Oh, I don't even know where it is. I might have erased it.
How could you erase it?
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think he might be in my top 25. No, he is in my top 25.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to. It might be in this other one real fast. Let me see. Oh yeah, here it is. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 on my top 25 list.
So you got him at 17. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who God, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, who God, your name is Dwayne, right?
Yeah, Dewan.
Dewan. Okay. Listen to this. Here, I don't know if you know my top 10. I mean, Dart knows it, but I don't know.
I remember you said it one time before, but I forgot.
I actually have a top 11. I'm cheating. Here we go. I got MJ, right?
Uh,
KAJ,
okay.
you know what that is. Bird, Magic, and Kobe. That's my top 5. And then I got Duncan, Russell, Curry, LBJ. But in my notes for LBJ, I put Bird's a better shooter, rebounder, trash talker, clutch with killer instinct, better basketball IQ, better pass. Well, I got passing even. And I got LBJ is more athletic and slightly better defense overall. Then I got Shaq, and I've been going back and forth lately this week with Wilt and Akeem.
Wait,
But
where
I-
you got Curry after Bill Russell?
Yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got Curry 8, and then LeBron 9, and then Shaq 10, and Wilt 11, and then Hakeem 12. That's right now. You know, my list is fluid because I moved around. Now, here's my question for you, okay? Who got this is what I talked to Dart about too the other day. I got Dr. J at 13.
I can
But
see
if
that.
you add his ABA stats, here's my question. Does that put him in your top 10? He has
Yeah,
over 30,000 points if you add his ABA stats, plus I think I think it's three championships, right? Or 4.
Pierre,
I think it's 3 if you combine ABA and NBA.
Pierre, Jim's responding to you. He said, "Pierre, I heard you called me an idiot. Guess that goes for sports and fitness rants too, because he said the exact same thing. The Warriors did benefit from a lot of injuries. So what?"
Yeah, so did a whole bunch of other teams. So did a whole bunch of other teams, but they played who's in front of them. You know what I mean? You call it what he can call it whatever he wants. He can make any excuses he wants. They beat who was ever in front of them. You know, whoever got on that court that day. I don't care. I don't care if the starters got on the court. Curry would have kicked their ass too, because you can't stop him. So if he has an off shooting day, that's it. But he's unstoppable. So when he's shooting and his shooting is on, I've seen him play against Kevin Durant, shooting jumpers, 35 footers, 40 footers, taking him off the dribble right in his face. You know, and shooting over 7 footers right in their face. No fear, no resistance, no nothing, no blocking his shot. I mean, I've seen it. This is high pressure um, playoff games. Hoop God, I'm not bullshitting. I watched these games. I've seen it.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Gus shoot on 7 footers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And scoring them like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm old school. You know me. I'm back from the 70s. So
Yeah.
I used to go to Gus's games all the time, even when he played the pro-ams before he played the NBA games. You know, during the summertime, he played a lot of pro-ams.
Yeah.
And he was shooting in front of 7 footers face. And Gus is thinner and smaller than Curry and don't have his range, you know. But you know what I'm saying? So it's these guys are pros. These guys are talented. You know what I mean? And if they're on their game and it's you know what I mean, you're not stopping them. So that's the bottom line.
No,
Yeah. Hey,
What?
hey, gentlemen, I gotta shut this down. I've already went
I'm
over
sorry,
the
Dart.
Okay.
time limit that I told my wife.
I mean-
I still gotta. If you can't tell in the boxes in the back, I'm still moving into my house, so I have to get back to that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was fun. Do either of you have any last words for the people, or
At the end of
Who,
the
me,
day,
Dart?
basketball.
do you have
For me,
anything?
Dart?
Do you have any last words for the people in the live chat?
No, nothing. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I don't want to say what I was gonna say.
Okay. Yep. And thank you, live chat. Come check out the debate between NB Sports and FYF Sports Debates. on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and where they'll be debating the 86 Celtics versus the 17 Warriors. I've been putting out videos lately, so come check them out as well. Like, since I have an actual computer now, I can get back to it. But otherwise, I thought it was a great debate. If you just tuned in, come watch this back in the future and vote in the community poll of who you thought won. Do you think that Hoop God won, arguing for the 94 Rockets? Or do you think that Jim won, arguing for the 86 Celtics? But again, thank you all.
Hey,
And
Doc,
what's up
one thing
here?
before you go, I apologize. But I see where he put in the chat, Curry choked the 3-1 lead. Number one, I'm gonna put this out as fact. Number one, Curry had an MCL sprain. It wasn't even published or talked about until after the series was over by Warriors management. You know, so that was the reason he was hurt. Everybody in that mama knows he could take Kevin Love off the dribble. You know, so I'm just putting it out as fact. Curry would never complain. Oh yeah, I had an injury. You know, that's why we lost. You know.
Yeah.
But those are the facts of what happened.
Okay.
Sorry about that, but go ahead.
No, it's all right. And for everyone, Michael Jordan fans,